I watched the last 10 minutes with these Ohio State fans. Obviously, everyone there was basically an Ohio State fan. But these specific dudes, and they were convinced, because I just was going to pretend that I was an Ohio State fan, ham it up. They thought I was a lifer, just full-on lifer Ohio State fan. We were just talking about players. I was like, oh, reliable Ruggles. He never misses kicks. Missed. And then I watched a grown man chuck a bottle of champagne at the wall. Just absolute chaos and despair in that room.
Cheers to episode 104.
Cheers.
I'm drinking bone broth.
Bone broth. What the?
I just knew that was going to be funny.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I heated up some bone broth and I'm just drinking it.
I got some coffee from earlier today.
What?
So it's
Just
like
drinking.
room temperature coffee. It's not cold, but it's not warm.
It's not cold, not warm.
Why are you
I gotta
staying
blow
up
my
so
nose after Grant just made me laugh. So I'll be back in a second.
late?
Why am I staying up late? I'm not. It's just one cup. Just had to get rid of it. Wasn't gonna dump it out.
You're a bad boy.
I'm drinking strawberry banana body armor.
Very nice. Sounds tasty.
It's phenomenal. It's probably my second favorite drink of all time.
What's your first?
Busch Light.
Okay, right. Isn't Body Armor, they like pride themselves on no sugar and that stuff? Or like low sugar?
Yeah, it's made with coconut water. No artificial dyes.
Evan loves the body armor.
It's less.
Whenever I hear it, I just think about like a video game, like Fortnite or or like Fallout, where you have to get
Why?
armor. Like the armor thing, like they named it drink Body Armor. It's kind of weird.
I laughed when I was blowing my nose and Evan said Busch Light is his favorite drink.
I thought it was funny too.
It's not your favorite drink?
No,
No, probably not.
why not?
What's your favorite drink
Pretty
of all
low.
time then?
Damn.
I don't know. It's a good question for the future. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Oh, I know mine, but Alex is just gonna copy it if I say it. I'm gonna get out in front. I'm gonna say Baja Blast.
I mean, it's okay if we both like the same thing, Grant, but
It's just so convenient that you would like it as well. I can't do anything.
I mean, that's
myself.
what I was gonna say, and then I just didn't say it. But
Right.
you know,
Exactly. I predicted that. All right. It's Monday.
Who
It's
cares?
January 2nd. It's 2023 for Alex, so people know what year this is. Welcome into the #1 sports podcast in Michigan. And I'm about as sick as I've ever been in my life. And Michigan tried to kill me this weekend. And that's the state of the show. So, for all you out there that like to listen to depression, this is the show for you. All right? All you, Jason, Connor, I'm listening. I know you guys out there perking up in your seat, like, wow, we're gonna really hear a dark thoughts in Grant's brain. Yep, it's gonna happen. All right, so buckle up. To preview the show, we're gonna talk about Michigan football, the TCU game. We're gonna talk about Lions football. Thankfully, something good did happen this weekend, and we're also gonna talk about, I guess, Killian versus Mo. I wrote that down. I don't feel as strong. I made this doc before I was sick, so I don't even really care to talk about that. And also college hoops, this Big Ten play sets the tip off. Before we get into any of that, I think we have to go to Alex for his wild weekend in Cleveland, Ohio.
it wasn't wild.
No,
It
I
was
think
wild from
think-
the videos that I saw, Alex. I couldn't believe you did that on that table.
That was nuts.
Don't even. You guys are good at this.
Usually you gotta pay extra to get that kind of action in the club.
Yeah.
You're right. So as they mentioned already, I went to Cleveland, Ohio for New Year's Eve.
The armpit
The city.
of America.
The armpit of the United States. Cleveland's okay. I certainly would never recommend living there to anybody.
Did you see Cam?
No. Should I have?
Doesn't he live in Cleveland?
He might. Yeah, I think he does. I didn't even think about that.
Wow.
Bad friend. Anyways.
Hands on me. Guess never.
So went to Cleveland, went to this it was not it's not a bar.
Went to a brothel, let's be honest.
It was It's a New Year's Eve party that was in an aquarium, I guess, technically.
And you said this was boring? This sounds awesome.
I didn't say it was boring. I just said it's not as crazy as you guys are making it seem.
Scale of 1 to 10, how awesome was that aquarium? And does it beat Cabela's aquarium?
Cabela's aquarium is
I
like
forgot Cabela's had an aquarium.
it's so tiny. It's not even an aquarium, Evan. It's just a
definitely
goldfish tank.
It's like the first one you ever watched.
It's for sure an aquarium. I think it
Rate
classifies
the
as an
aquarium.
Rate it.
I haven't seen many aquariums. It's not the Toledo Zoo aquarium, I can tell you that.
Well,
I'll get a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
all right. Any sharks?
Nope, Grant. This is fresh water.
Seems like a miss.
No salt. Anyways, the venue was like, so there's this giant bridge in Cleveland. I've never been to Cleveland, so I don't know anything about Cleveland.
That's what they got to name the Guardians from.
The Golden Gate.
Guardian gargoyles over the bridge.
Whatever. Like I said, don't know diddly dick about
I know exactly what you're talking
Cleveland.
about. And yeah, I saw that video.
Yes.
But there's this big bridge. It's a cool bridge, sure. This venue was underneath the bridge. So
there's an aquarium underneath this bridge.
it was on the waterfront of Lake Erie, I believe.
I see.
So for some reason, Cleveland and that area reminded me of Gotham City. That's what I thought of when I was there.
So Robert Pattinson was at your...
Felt like I was at like a party where the Joker was going to come out and, do the whole spiel. Would have been sweet.
Have you seen him? Where's Harvey Dent?
That was pretty good, Evan.
So venue was large. There was like 7 different rooms / bars. So there's like an Ohio State themed bar room.
Disgusting.
Bad time.
Yeah, let's get into that later.
I actually have a funny story about that. But then there was like, there's one room where they just had cheese and wine and champagne. Obviously wasn't hanging out in that room. But
you strike me as that kind of guy.
No, it smelled pretty bad in there. It smelled like dirty cheese.
You do like wine.
He is
That doesn't mean I would hang out on New Year's Eve in a wine room, Grant. You guys are just really attacking me today. I'm not really a fan. And then there was just a bunch of other like club style rooms. And a lot of people there. 3,000 roughly tickets were sold apparently. Didn't see the ball drop because I was watching the football game. I watched the last 10 minutes with these Ohio State fans. Obviously, everyone there was basically an Ohio State fan. But these specific dudes, and they were convinced, because I just was going to pretend that I was an Ohio State fan, ham it up. They thought I was a lifer, full-on lifer Ohio State fan. We were just talking about players. I was like, oh, reliable Ruggles. He never misses kicks. Missed. And then I watched a grown man chuck a bottle of champagne at the wall. Just absolute chaos and despair in that room when they lost. It was pretty funny.
So you were in a separate room from everybody else that you went with?
I was alone, yeah, watching with a bunch of dudes.
Gotcha. That's why I didn't see you in many of the videos that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I had to watch the game. That's just who I am. So yeah, that's what I did. I hung out in Cleveland, Ohio at a bar thing. And I would like to say on the record, New Year's Eve is very overrated. It always has been, just up there with Halloween. And yeah, it's a gross couple holiday, so it's not my favorite.
Yeah,
I guess
like a couple holidays is in Halloween and New Year's Eve, or is like only for couples?
New Year's Eve is just like a big couples holiday.
Oh, a couples.
At least this is what I determined from this weekend.
Did you kiss anyone at midnight?
Oh, did you?
I was watching the football games.
You kissed Mr. Bucknut.
You kissed the Buckeye guy.
He was there. Yeah, he was there.
No.
He was not there. He was at the game.
No, he was just hanging out with me. So no.
Yeah, I guess if you still don't feel great about New Year's Eve after this experience, I don't think you ever will, because you did it about as good as you can do it sounds like.
Listen, it was fun, and if I was with a bunch of like my friends,
Whoa.
Not that I wasn't with any of my friends, but you guys know who I was with. So if I was with some, other dudes and closer friends of mine, I probably would have had a blast. I still had fun, but that was what the part that I would say was missing.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I didn't go.
Thank you, Evan. You're a great friend.
Evan,
Um,
your New Year's.
my New Year's. Went to 2 parties. First one, fun time.
Hell yeah.
Family, friends. Parents were there. Went with them. I was like, I probably should hang out with my parents a little bit. Good time. Watched the Michigan game there, and then left to go see friend of the podcast Cody's new house.
Wow.
Thinking that would be a party. Turns out when your favorite team probably loses a top 5 game of all time, you're gonna go home and leave. So there was nobody there besides me, Cody, and a different Drew. Just us 3.
Legitimately, there's only the 3 of you there when you got there.
1,000%. I walked in and it was 2 of them sitting on the couch
Wow.
because
And you
everybody else
just-
left or didn't want to come over after the game because of
That would have been an all-time.
So did you stay for a while? Hang
Oh
out?
yeah, I stayed until like 12:30, 12:45.
So guys, what did we just watch?
There was a great football game going on.
Just the 3 of you the whole time?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna be disrespectful and just be like, well, there's nobody here to see you, man.
You couldn't leave. You had to hang out at that point.
I did. I had a quality time there.
Wow. That's depressing.
Yeah.
Michigan ruined New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So that was literally basically my New Year's Eve. Nothing really overly excited happened. Yeah, that was mine. I went to the first party my parents were at, family friends. I thought for the podcast Drew would be there since his parents hosted. Wasn't there. So
That guy stayed up till 5 a.m. on New Year's Eve. What'd you guys do?
Oh, I was sleeping by like 1:05. It was wonderful. There's
Yeah,
nothing
driving
better
home
than
from
sleeping.
Cleveland the next morning was pretty not fun.
Why?
By
I didn't
myself,
want to go.
too.
I could have told you that beforehand.
3 hours.
2.5. Well, yeah, I just
Shut
watched
down
the
the whole
Tottenham
road
game
for like
while
a day.
driving, so I didn't
2
even
days.
notice.
You let Emily drive home in the truck,
She did not ride back with me. She rode back with Bailey.
so you rode by yourself.
Yeah, just me. Me a sausage McGriddle and the vanilla iced coffee.
Oh
Open
God, I'm so
road.
glad I didn't go. Oh.
Yeah, but that breakfast.
Just because of a drive, Evan.
Yeah, that would have been miserable.
Yeah, we
No.
could have chatted. Could have
We
talked
could've
about
chatted.
life.
It would have been all right. We would have talked about, man, dude, I should have done this last night. Dude, I should have done this, dude. Yeah.
Grant, what'd you do, man? What'd you do this weekend?
Well, not a lot. I got really sick. Started on Saturday night, actually. I had like a little bit of a cough during the day, but I was like fine during the Michigan game. And then for the Ohio State-Georgia game, was just hacking up a lung. It felt awful. And then I knew like when I wake up in the morning, I was going to feel bad, even worse because I had been drinking during the game. So it was like a bad mix of getting sick on the night you're drinking. So I woke up Sunday, felt atrocious. Got what I needed to get done. Then hammered some NyQuil and I went to bed on Sunday night at 8 p.m. on the futon. I woke up at midnight. I got out of the futon. I walked to my bed, slept there from midnight to 4, and then kind of just like rolled around, sleeping in and out until like 9. So I got like 13 hours of sleep. Still felt pretty bad. Still feel pretty bad. So I'm hoping.
Sound pretty bad.
Sound pretty bad. I'm hoping after I take the NyQuil tonight, one more night of a lot of sleep, I'll be back. That's my plan. But we'll see how that goes. That's pretty much it. I did get, I got a gift card to B-Dubs for Christmas. So, got a gift card for Christmas. $25. Solid. I'm like, all right. I don't really ever get B-Dubs because it's a joke and this illuminates it. For 20 bone-in wings and an order of fried pickles, can anyone guess how much that was for a takeout order?
Say it one more time.
20
wings.
traditional wings
Oh,
and
traditional.
fried
Traditional.
pickles.
With tip?
So yeah, so
Oh,
there's
no. It's
a tax, a 10% tip, and a 99-cent takeout fee.
$46.
42. Isn't that insane?
I only know that because I just recently did that, and I got almost the same thing, and I was blown away. And like, I can never do this again.
It's wild that they have, like, that's just their business. Like, if you want it, you gotta pay that much money for it. It's insane. So, that is what I ate. It was solid. Got a mix of spicy garlic, medium, and what was the other one? Oh, Asian Zing. Weekly check-ins are wrapped up. Let's move into the nitty-gritty. Michigan football loses 51-45 to TCU. I have a lot of random thoughts I wrote down yesterday morning about this game when I watched it back and listened to the press conferences.
Did you take notes during the game?
No, I didn't take notes during the game.
Someone asked me if you did.
It was impossible. Like, that's the one game I had to watch it back because I had to process what actually I watched. Like, I couldn't really even tell what was going on when I was done watching the game. I'll open it to you guys. Do you guys have any questions to kick off the conversation? Any thoughts you had that you'd like answers from me about?
Question. You hinted on this. Actually, it's like a two-part question. One, why is Michigan worse with more time off than less time off?
I think, I don't know why. My thought would be maybe they use it as like more as a rest and recovery period than like intricate game planning, because it seemed like their game planning was missing. Like, it didn't seem like they had
besides the first play, it looked like, okay, they game planned, like, and they knew exactly if they came out in this formation, TCU is going to do this. We're going to run the ball down the throat. After that, it seemed like, well, they threw out the play card because TCU did one thing. We're doing, screw it, here we go.
Yeah, that's what also makes the loss worse as well, is like after that first play, I think everyone in our overreaction society was like, oh, like Big 12 soft, like Michigan's going to roll this game. Like, you couldn't help but think that after a 54-yard, like, it was like, oh, yep, everything we thought is true. I said, well,
this is over, because we were talking about
Barstool tweeted, like, after the first play, like, welcome to the playoff, TCU, after the first play by Edwards.
Everybody I was watching at the party was like, gosh, well, we hope TCU wins. We don't want to see Michigan win. And then that first play literally happened 10 seconds.
Turn it off.
And we're like, well, that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, I mean, I legitimately thought from most of that run he was cribbing it. Yeah. Turns out if he did crib it, some things could have changed differently. Like, you just have to get in the end zone no matter what. You never know. That's the one lesson is just get in the end zone whenever you possibly can in a football game, because you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know. It's 1-6 now. He's lost the last 6 bowl games. Jake Rudock, shout out to him for beating Florida in their first year. It's kind of inexplainable. Like, I only really care about the playoff bowl games. I've never been a huge bowl game guy outside of like the ones that Rose Bowl and like the playoff, but still, like, there's enough, even if you're losing like lower bowl games, that something's off when it comes to that preparation. But yeah, what was the second part of your?
Second part, adding towards that preparation. I know there was some drives that you weren't running the ball as good. However, it seemed like you weren't trying hard enough to get Edwards the ball, clearly on the goal line. Well, it seemed like you had a month off and you completely changed your identity. And I get that you're down 14-0 at the throw it, but you're also down 14-0 in the first quarter. There's plenty of time, as we saw in this game, that there's plenty of time of football left. You could run yourself back into it and close the gap of time in the game. But it just looked like a completely different Michigan team from the previous 13 games to this one game. It seemed like it was pass first, run second, instead of run first, pass second. Is that what it looked like to you, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, I had that written down because that was a narrative going around. I think it's people just saying like Michigan went away from their roots, which is both true and false. I think it's a little bit more intricate. They went away from their roots when it came to like trying to run pin and pull and like gap scheme runs. They did a lot of like zone runs, which doesn't make any sense when you're facing a faster defense than you. It makes me think back to like our high school days when Romano would play bully ball in a phone booth against the Ipsies of the world because we had a zero speed. We had a negative speed advantage. So, like, you just have to bully people in the A gap. And you saw on the first play of the game a 54-yard A gap run. And, like, after that, I couldn't tell you. I don't know how many more times they actually ran, like, right off the center's butt. So that is why I was confused. But, like, this was my larger point, is they did get away from their roots because it's back-to-back years now where the Joe Moore Award offensive line got exposed on the playoff stage. And, like, I just can't wrap my head around it. And, like, going forward, I mean, they were good in pass pro, but a lot of times TCU was only rushing 3 because of their defense. But, like, outside of Donovan Edwards' run, you take that off, which is a 54-yarder. Like, it did happen. But if you take that off, which is the first play of the game, they averaged 3 yards per carry. They were just they gave up double-digit tackle for losses. That's just not something that happens, like, to Michigan teams. And it's back-to-back years now, like I said, where your offensive line just got absolutely exposed. So I don't, like, going forward, it's nice to win that award, but until, like, it gets proven on the semifinal stage, I don't really know, like, what to think going forward. It's like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I can't get fooled a third time. I just have to be like, well, we might have to learn how to throw the ball because it seems like we can't run the ball well on this stage.
Michigan's offensive line is just bad in big games. It's just the takeaway from you, Grant? You really think that?
No, but they haven't delivered in back-to-back semifinals. That's fair. I mean, they've won a lot of big games over the last 2 years where the offensive line did show up. I mean, they ran for 450 yards on Penn State. Like, they can bully good teams in this country. I just don't know. Like, it's like to Evan's point, you have a whole month to prepare for a 3-3-5, and they looked like they had never, like, even talked about it. There were so many missed assignments on pass plays and run plays where, like, the best center in the nation, Zach Zinter, NFL guard, they just miscommunicate and a guy gets through on a free blitz. Like, I just don't understand how that happens. And with that being said, they still, like, it also showed a layer to their games. Like, well, this team is still really good because they found a way to go away from their identity and almost win the football game. And numerous points they could have had a chance to win. So credit to that. But it's just one of those games where, like, some things were great, some things were atrocious, and ultimately, like,
I have one follow-up.
Yeah.
If you had to put the percent blame between coaches and players, where would you throw that? I've heard mixed opinions.
I think you always lean more coaches, just because, like, the culture and, like, how they set the foundation for the team. I was really in the weeds, like, after the game of what was said post game, and it was the classic, like, Michigan, in my opinion, like, kind of bit themselves in the foot again. With how they handle, like, the pregame stuff, like the clip of JJ saying if they stay in the 3-3-5, we're just gonna smash, and Junior Colson not knowing, like, jokingly, like, not knowing what conference TCU was in. It's just like, that stuff is so dumb at this level. And Sonny Dykes, I think, like, that definitely video got passed around TCU's locker room. They said they use it to motivate them, which is fine. And they, like, their coach told their players, like, let's just keep our mouth shut till after the game. There's not, like, a wrong and right way to do it. I would just prefer, if you are going to say stuff like that, like, don't make an ass of yourself and back it up. I'd prefer they didn't, but I see now that, like, there's no, like, people talk trash before games and still play well. Like, I prefer you don't, but I don't know. It's players, it's coaches, it was a lot. I think The Athletic had an article where, like, they asked one Michigan assistant, and he's like, this is what happens when everyone in your building and your whole fan base, like, kind of assumes you're going to win a semifinal game. Like, crazy stuff can happen on the stage because it is TCU. You are a touchdown favorite, but TCU is, like, a very good football team. That was apparent to me. Like, they did not flinch whatsoever. Do I think, like, if these teams played 10 times, in my fandom brain, I think Michigan would pull out more victories than not, like, over 50%, because I do think a lot of fluky things happen. But they won on that night. That's all you can say, really.
Are you ever going to Philly special if you're ever an offensive coordinator?
No, that's so lazy to even, like, that's your trick play. Like, that's been done so many times since it happened that, like, you had a month to prepare, and that's the trick play. You're like, yeah, we're going to this. And also, the communication on it was bad. Like, JJ had to walk over to the wide receivers and, like, talk to them. Like, no bigger, like, red flag in the world that something funny's happening if you're going to talk to your receivers where they're lined up at and they're in a zone. So, like, on a zone, there's no like man motion. They're just gonna stand in their zone. It's like I would have. We talk about I would have just taken the 3 points. I didn't even need him to go for it. I was like, it's 3 points on your first drive. I don't like turning down
the ball
points.
pretty well. You have confidence to build off of.
Yeah.
Is this the worst loss in your career, Grant? As a fan, your fan career?
It's top 5, no doubt. Like
JT Short still number 1.
That's what I was saying.
This might have passed it. It was like an almost carbon copy blueprint of that game. You fumble on the 1, you throw a pick 6, threw 2 pick 6s. Like you think the refs big at one point, and I put out the tweet like it's not the refs' fault Michigan lost, but it is just like a egregious like mess up by them. Like I don't know how you rule that a touchdown.
It's insult to injury, but they caused the injury.
No, the worst part of that whole sequence is that you're first and goal on the 1, where
give it to a linebacker.
You could just
best idea.
Even if I think Joe Klatt was talking today, and it's so common sense. He's like, even if you QB sneak it 3 times, like 4 times, what are the odds they stop you 4 consecutive QB sneaks? You're first and goal on the 1, inside the 1
QB sneak.
Yeah, and you
grab your biggest tight end and put him right behind the quarterback on snap. You push him forward like they did 4 times.
Never fails.
It's also crazy too that like they put Khalil Mullins in like an offset fullback role to make the handoff even harder. Like if you're gonna give it to him, why not like line him up like a normal running back?
Didn't Harbaugh used to run that formation when you guys had that big 2016, that big tight end. What was his name?
Khalid Hill. Yeah.
He had a couple rushing touchdowns on that same exact formation.
Yeah, and then they tried to do it Ben Van Summer, and he fumbled once. And then they tried to do it. Khalil Mullins, I had to look back. Another gripe. It's impossible in college sports to find out when someone's fumbled and when they like lost it, because I was searching all the like stats databases and couldn't find anything of like had Khalil Mullins fumbled before. I had to go like individual ESPN game logs to find it. He did fumble last year against Wisconsin, so it wasn't like he had never fumbled either. I just don't like this guy wasn't playing running back until the Ohio State game. I don't understand. And then they did it again later in the game. They get down there, they give Donovan Edwards one handoff, and then they yank him for Khalil Mullins, and we had to kick a field goal. You had 3 possessions inside the 6-yard line, and you came away with 3 points. And it's just like, I don't know what to tell you.
Michigan's red zone offense all year wasn't great.
But then it just comes down to, like, you just got emasculated, like your whole smash identity. If you can't push a pile down at that area and you just get stuffed every time, then, like, the whole identity you think you've built up until this point, it's just kind of a mirage to fans. You're just like, are we going to be able to bully people? I guess not.
Granted, they did adapt and score almost 50 points.
I guess my question, based off of like that first quarter, does this prove just how much like Harbaugh has his hands off of the offense? Like, do you think he approved that Philly?
He did say he took the ownership on that. He said, I should have changed it about the play. I don't know if he's just covering someone but he did say like I should have changed it. But like that Khalil Mullins handoff, that's Harbaugh. So there's still marks of him, like the fact that you're yanking a 5-star.
But it's just not like traditional Harbaugh did. Like it's 4th and goal from what was it, the 2-yard line?
2, yeah.
And you're running a trick play instead of I'm gonna run power.
Yeah.
Right off of my right guard until the cows come home. And if you stop me, you stop me instead of trying to get cute.
Yeah. I don't know. But to fully wrap the top 5 sports loss, some of them I was young. Like the Robert Ory shot, I was pretty young for that, but that was devastating because it's a buzzer beater. Lions Cowboys.
Did you have tears? Any tears, Grant?
No. This game, no.
How much anger? I mean, we hit anything? We punching pillows? That's what I would have been doing.
No, and like some backstory for Evan is like I was texting Alex separately. Like
I chopped for Grant. I did.
I might have texted the word chop like 1,000 times just because like it, not to steal Mel Tucker's word, but like it's the only thing you can think of. Like it was a true. I'm sure there's a lot of Michigan fans that gave up very early and rightfully so with that disgusting performance. But I was really riding or dying till the last whistle, like thinking, okay, like this game's already crazy. I mean, even when JJ throws the 34-16 pick, I was like, oh, a lot of game left. Like, we can get there. And it's like, that's insane thought. But, like, it actually was getting close to happening at one point. So it was almost just a state of shock afterwards. And then, like, got more mad as Ohio State was doing well. Like, that got me more mad.
That probably put you down bad.
Thankfully, they fumbled their bag. And they are not in the championship because that would have made it 10 times worse because they probably would beat TCU. Although, no, Ohio State looked really good against Georgia. But like TCU and Ohio
Stroud really shut the haters up in that game.
TCU and Ohio State aren't that far off. Like there's a case to be made in terms of who gave Michigan the toughest test this year. It's obviously TCU. Like they played Michigan way better than Ohio State did.
Would we think that Ohio State, the way they played against Georgia, if they would have played like that against Michigan, it'd be a different type of game?
If you would have given Ohio State a month off to prepare for Michigan, I think it'd be 100% different.
Yeah, potentially.
I guess that is a difference.
I'm excited for the playoff to start because I was thinking about this leading up to the game. This isn't like a retrospective excuse thing. It's so dumb that college football, like their biggest games, you take a month off to play. No other sport does that, so I'm glad.
I thought about that too on the way. Yeah. I was like, this is really dumb to wait this long.
I know. On like Thursday,
NFL goes the next week. Playoffs.
On Thursday, I was walking into work and I was like, yeah, why do they like just wait an entire month for their biggest games? Like no other sport in the world does that.
None. Actually, none.
None.
March Madness, they hop right into that. Maybe because of winter break for college kids, they got to take exams. I don't know. But it is pretty wild to think about. That's the only sport that does it.
It's always... They've always done it.
That'll be over, though, right? With the 12 team, like they won't have enough time to wait.
Yeah, I don't think they can wait.
12 team.
I mean,
there's still going to be at least a week off in between.
A week off, I can see it. That's fine.
Well, it's only how many weeks is it? So if there's 12 teams, it'd be down to 6. I'll take that back.
Is there bye weeks?
The 1 through 4 gets a bye week while the other teams are playing. So there's only 12. So then there's only...
Just 4 games the first week.
Yep. 4 games the second week. 2.
And then 2, 1. So 4 weeks, a month. Full month. So no month off because they got to play them for a month.
Yeah, but you could still have 2 weeks off and just push back the national championship game a week.
To MLK Day so that we all have it off.
Yeah.
Smart.
The other thing... Offensively, they kind of got away from their roots, and then defensively, they did as well. They started doing Aaron Glenn 0 blitzes that just left everybody exposed, and I think they just got desperate. Because, like, the way the game worked is the first half, defense played very well, and they were put in a lot of bad spots, and obviously 14 points in this game come on the offense on J.J. McCarthy's arm. But then in the second half, they couldn't stop anything. The biggest play in the entire game, there's a lot of them, but like the biggest like gut punch was you battle back to 41-38, and then 3rd and 7, you miss one tackle on a crosser,
takes it to
and
the
he's
crib.
gone.
I could not believe that one.
DJ,
I was like, there's got to be a safety someone out there.
Yeah, and that's why like that's just we like the blitz on 3rd downs, but like we're not a 0 blitz like crazy team. And I mean, poor DJ Turner. Like, he did make a nice tackle later in the game, but, like, if you just get your helmet on the other side of his thigh, like, you probably bring him down, and then you get the ball back, and then if you score there, who knows how the game unfolds. But, yeah, that was for sure the biggest
football game.
It really was. That third quarter, I mean, there was 44 points. That's, like, unheard of.
There was, I think they said there were 7 touchdowns in, like, 7 minutes of football game, like, the last 5 minutes of the third and the first 2 minutes of the fourth. There were 7 touchdowns.
And that's just like the infuriating thing of JJ is like he's a huge part of why they lost and cost you, but he still had amazing moments where you're like, okay, I see like in the beginning of the game, I think there was people on the internet. Yeah, he's still 19 years old. People on the internet are like, oh, like Cade doesn't do this. Yeah, Cade probably doesn't throw a pick six, but like
Cade does not score 45 points for you.
No, Cade is, it's just like Cade, if your defense doesn't keep TCU under like 28 points, you're probably screwed because like, and especially because they couldn't run the football. It all goes back to that. Like, Joe Moore award-winning team can't run the football against TCU. I don't know what else like that can stop and start there too. But again, they still had plenty of chances to win the football game. My other 2 on my list that were top losses were 2016 JT was short in the David Ortiz Grand Slam in ALCS. You guys want to relive bad moments?
What about the Iowa 20.
That night game, 2017, 16, 17.
Yeah, but you still
That's the same year as Ohio State.
You could still control your destiny after that, which was okay. This is up there,
Playoff
though.
loss has got to be.
This is worse than JT. Because, like, and then the next question I asked myself, and we have some NFL rumors to talk about briefly, is, like, will Michigan ever win the Natty under Harbaugh? Because, like, this seemed... Now, they likely lose to Georgia. I wouldn't have been crazy. But there was a side of that game where Georgia gave up 41 points. I was like, oh. The thoughts I had about Georgia not being last year's Georgia, those were true. This Georgia team is vulnerable in some aspects, especially compared to last year. So,
well, Marvin Harrison Jr. is also just pretty good.
Yeah, but this may not have been this is definitely their best chance probably they'll ever have to win a playoff game, because you're a 7.5 point favorite against a Big 12 team that didn't even win their conference. At the end of the day, they lost in their conference title game.
Until the 12 team. You might get some bum teams in there.
Maybe, yeah, if they don't have a lot of time to prep, maybe they should roll in and they do better. But it just sucks as, like, the narratives of a Michigan fan that we've had to go through. And you guys can, I mean, I'm sure you guys have your own narratives that, like, every fan base internalizes their own struggles. But for us, it's just like it was a decade plus of, like, just the worst football probably in the history of this program. You get Harbaugh, you get your guy. He can't beat his rivals. He can't go to Indy. They finally do that in back-to-back years, so they proved that last year wasn't a fluke. And then now it's just he can't win a semifinal game. And it's exhausting, but, like, this is how narratives start. You just can't get things done. And until they prove it, it's just going to linger. And it's going to be like, oh, like, that's the crappy thing. Because, like, I wouldn't trade this season for the world. Like, it was sweet. Like, I being Ohio State since 2000 at Ohio State, beating Michigan State and Ohio State both in the same season for the first time in a long time are awesome. But it's just bad taste in your mouth at the end of the day when you go to sleep. You're like, oh, blew a game to TCU. I do have a take for you guys because I know we've talked about this before, and I think we used Oklahoma as the example. This loss is cementing my belief that I would definitely trade, like, a natty for 20 years of suck. Like, I think I would, because I don't, like, if you told me, like,
20 so long, dude.
Like, if you all right, a decade at least, because if you told me we get to go to the playoff, like, 2 more times.
Alex, you're Nebraska in 97 with Scott Frost, and you just turned into complete suck.
But that was a split. I'm talking a playoff title. A playoff title is earned. I would do it.
I would Texas.
Colt McCoy title.
You're Texas. Vince Young minus. Minus that.
I would do that. I would take the title.
Oh, man.
Because rough. As someone who's seen 2 now, it's not fun. I wouldn't sign up for 2 more. Like, if you were like, oh, Michigan's made it 4 out of 5 years and lost every semifinal game, I'm not signing up for that. It sucks.
You're Ohio State. You don't want to be Ohio State, Grant.
No, Grant, I'm signing up for that. I am. Because
you're the Miami Hurricanes.
Sucking the whole season.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
You don't even care about anything that's happening.
But being like Oklahoma is not fun. And that's what we're trending to. Just a team that gets to the semifinals and they lose.
You're going to win eventually if you keep going.
Now, Spin Zone,
I think because he just left.
I think they can get back next year.
Who's going to be your new coach? That's going to be some juicy.
Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
I would take money out of my own bank account to start that fund going.
I don't think I have any other takes from the game, so I guess we could touch on that briefly. My only last take from the game itself was it was also baffling that they didn't dip into their QB run bag until the second half. Like, what's the point also of JJ was that he can run as opposed to Cade.
Mobile.
And they didn't do any designed runs for him until the second half, and then he basically had a touchdown drive
they
all
worked
on his legs.
So well.
That counter pull they did with him to score is so beautiful. And, like, we didn't run that with Dom and Edwards way at all. We just kept running those zone reads I talked about to start off. I just don't get. It was like, so back in the day, and still to an extent, when Harbaugh tries to get stubborn against Michigan State's front and run, like, between the tackles and get stuffed, it's like he did that, but opposite for TCU and tried doing outside zones on a team that has speed. I mean, I don't know, like, if anyone's egos are too inflated. I'm sure they are. And, like, they're just trying to beat them at their own game or something. But you had a 54-yard run up the A gap to start the game, and then you had, like, 30-yard touchdown run when you did a counter or a two lead blockers with JJ McCarthy, and you never did those concepts again. And I just don't understand it, and I never will. And it was awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah, I mean, it had to suck.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. It was one. I mean, it's probably it probably will grow into like the worst Michigan. It is the worst Michigan loss. It'll probably grow into one of the worst of all time.
I was saying that, Grant, too. Like, they weren't creative enough in the run game until when it didn't matter.
Yeah,
you had to pull out all your stops in the first quarter. It was like your run game. Like, we're getting this run game going. We're going to control our own pace. And TCU said, we'll make it a track meet if you want to, and they were more than happy to do it.
I should say too, TCU's legit. Like they're impressive as hell. They are very physical. I don't think people realize that, or I probably didn't give them enough credit. But like even the way they're and also to make it even worse, their star running back got hurt like for a large chunk of this game. But when he ran, he was running
good running backs though.
He was running people over.
He had one long run, but he missed a key block on a blitz, and he also had a fumble that gave Michigan life.
Yeah. And Michigan got gifted 2 interceptions because one receiver just dropped it off his chest.
One hit it straight in the chest.
So we were talking about this at the party. Like, should those in the future, you're head of the rules and stats committee, should those go against the QB?
No, it'd be nice if they did.
The first one, maybe he shouldn't have thrown it. The second one hits the dude in the chest.
Yeah.
It's never going to get changed. It's like errors in baseball, though.
You want to know the sick thing, too, about the...
Like, what would you, rule that as, though?
I rule it as a turnover on
interception for the wideout number 11.
So there'd be, 66 interceptions in the season, but quarterbacks only threw 42. That would just wouldn't add up.
I wouldn't call it an interception. I would call it a turnover on... It's like a fumble. You don't count it towards the quarterback as he handed it off to the running back.
So receivers will be throwing interceptions.
Receivers would get a turnover, not an interception. They would get a turnover.
Might as well be an interception. It'd be better.
They would just add another column, just a turnover. Wide receiver.
I don't hate it.
You know who the really bad receivers are.
Yes. All the drop passes.
You know what's sick, too, about my brain? Being a Michigan fan and, you just think things are probably going to go bad at some point. After so I got the pick and then threw the touchdown to Roman Wilson, I had the tweet set up. I think it was something like get a turnover, take a shot, like classic football. Like everyone does that. If you get a turnover, you take a shot play. And I saw they were reviewing it, and I was like, I think I saw it got overturned, and I was like, I'm just gonna hit send still because the play still happened. I was like, watch them fumble this on the one though. That'd be very classic Michigan just to poop the bed here, and they did. It was stunning. It was a stunning fumble. That was that and the second JJ pick were just oh my god, this game cannot get worse.
Does that fumble make it worse that they didn't even have to review it? There was no question about he had it and it was through him and then out the other side.
It's because they lined him up.
On that one was very good, just so everyone is aware.
That's impressive if you saw it because it was a bad angle to even see if it was a
fumble. My ball was all over it. I just was looking at all the other players freaking out.
My voice cracked on that second interception when the cameraman had no idea where he was at.
Yeah. He missed Ronnie Bell wide open on that play. He tried to force it to the level one, but I don't know, man. That's a haunting game that we'll never get rid of until you win a semifinal game.
I know we talked about it, Grant, but I don't know if you hit on this already, but does it loss make it worse that he's flirting with the NFL already? Already.
Well, it's hard to decipher from the reports I've
There's
seen.
so much bad reporting last year, so who knows?
All I've seen is that...
Do you trust Bruce Feldman?
that... All I've seen so far, there's 2 of them, that 1, the teams have reached out to him, and 2, a source close to him thinks he'd take it. Yeah, that doesn't really say.
They said that last year, though, too.
It's a little bit more respectable.
Who was that blue check mark guy that said he accepted the Minnesota job?
That was Ballas.
That guy.
He tweeted that that Harbaugh is signing with the Vikings today, the day he was going to interview.
But Minnesota never gave him the offer.
Correct. Well, yeah, I think that's from what we've gathered.
Allegedly.
Yes. Well, at least Monty Smith can have his court date now.
Yeah. But there's 2.
Good for him. Get off that.
there's two people from last year, like blue check marks as well. Now, Bruce Feldman does carry more weight in the industry than these people, but this was from Amber Thea Harris. Chirp, chirp, chirp. My birdies say announcement soon. And that was about Harbaugh to the Raiders on January 7th. And then this guy, Mark
I
Carman.
forgot that was rumored.
Mark Carman, blue check mark.
I sent these tweets to Grant.
Hearing from a reliable source, Jim Harbaugh will tell the team today, tomorrow, he is leaving to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Could have taken the Minnesota job, preferred Miami. Like, the amount of, like,
Dolphins, Vikings, Raiders. This year he'll be the head coach of the Colts, Broncos.
I just hope Harbaugh comes out and says, like, I have my own guys just to tell all these reporters lies because I would respect him so much more.
Well, and, like, in the offseason, I know we're not offseason yet for football, but, like, these do such great numbers and clicks. Like, there was, like, 300 comments on the Athletic article. Like, people just need it, and, like, yeah, it's a piece of information. I think the Broncos is legit. I think all their ownership, I guess, went to Stanford as well. Condoleezza Rice is on their board. Like, I think that's a legit job. In my brain, though, I just can't see Harbaugh. Like, his ego's so big. Their new owner
Take
says,
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, and I think their owner said, you're going to report to me. Like, the buck stops with me. Like, I just can't. Like, if Jim goes to a place, I think he's going to want, like, his whole stamp on it. And
well,
Russell
he's only
Wilson
reporting
is the
to
franchise.
him. Maybe he'll be GM.
But he's also reporting to
GM
Russell
coach.
Wilson at that point.
The Broncos owner probably needs to back off a little bit. They're brand new. And to say that, you'll never find, like, a coach to...
Yeah.
Well, apparently if Jim's offered, he's taking it.
Unless
Yeah,
the
which
owner
is-
said that because he let
Wild
John
statement.
Elway hire Nathaniel Hackett, then it could be different. Be like, oh, you are going through me after every search now.
And like,
I mean,
with the-
NFL teams, it's a no-brainer to hire Jim, though. I mean, when I was reading that Athletic article today, why did he ever leave the NFL?
Because
because
hated him.
their
No,
He
that's
did
GM,
three straight NFC
their
championship
GM
games and a Super Bowl.
GM
Trent
and owner
Baalke.
hated him.
Trent Baalke, GM of now I believe the Jaguars, hated, like, him and Jim had a falling out, and they fired him after an 8-8 season.
Yeah,
And
he
he left.
never had a losing season in the NFL.
No, they just
He's like 44-19. Went
an-
to the Super Bowl and 3 NFC title games.
Went to the Super Bowl with
it's an
Colin
ego thing.
Kaepernick.
Yeah, Jim
ego
should be
thing.
coaching in the NFL.
Beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Beat Eli Manning and the Giants to go to the Super Bowl.
he does wear out his welcome, though. I mean, that's a fact. College is different because you can kind of, like, they're kids and you can convince them, but, like, he does rub people the wrong way. Him and Ward Manuel have had, like, very intense negotiations.
I think he
Probably still
leaves
are.
this.
War
time.
Manuel's a
I think he
joke,
does.
so-
You know, there's a clause in his contract that
He
if
has to tell him if he's
Interviewing.
interested or interviewing. Yeah,
if he doesn't say he's interviewing, he can get fired.
they
with
get
cause.
fired.
They put that in after last year's
But like,
debacle.
what are they going to
But
do?
if he was
Fire him?
interviewing and he didn't tell him, like, oh, Jim, you're fired. Be like, okay.
Your
Why?
fan base would
I'm
have.
interviewing. to
I think
be
it
on the-
saves money though, or it does something. I don't know.
Oh,
His
yeah,
buyout
okay.
is already small.
Yeah,
It's only like
So,
$3 million.
For our audience who loves the speculation and probably wants answers, I
He's gone.
promise myself I'm not even like
spot for like 2 years.
Evan. You will be right, but also only half right because you've been pegging the Colts, so I can't give you full credit if it's
Yeah.
the Broncos.
That's not over with yet. Ursay
Jim
can't
Harbaugh-
go. Ursay
My
can't
official
start
statement
yet.
is that he will be the head coach of the Denver Broncos at the start of next season. I really think it'll happen.
I don't think.
My-
And if he doesn't leave, he's never leaving ever. Unless he
you
gets
can't
fired.
say ever. That's what everyone said last year. It's like, well,
Yeah,
you-
everyone
so
said
no,
that
he's never
last year.
leaving.
I just can't
It
believe
will-
he's going to do this dance again.
You
And
can't.
if he's truly doing the dance again, after
He
all
also
this shit,
hasn't. He
He'll
he'll
also
never do it.
he also hasn't done a thing yet. He hasn't taken an interview. He hasn't done a thing.
He might not have to interview for the Broncos. He might just get that.
And who's this anonymous
You have
source
to
that knows
interview.
it's a done deal like the day after the Fiesta Bowl's done? Like, why? It's just so. It's clicks, man. It's crazy. It might happen, but still, it's nasty how like
Backdoor channels, man. He's got
It
people
just-
talking for him.
it's like clockwork. I will say this: it would irk me his comments like before the bowl game, like 2 weeks before when they
Coach
did the
speak.
Zoom.
Coach speak, Grant.
But Evan, you can handle that in a better way.
Grant, we
you don't
told
have
you that didn't mean diddly.
no that will sting, and I will not. I will dock him points in his tenure, and we'll look at him not as fondly for. You can just say we're focused on the Fiesta Bowl, and like leave it open. Like you don't. He was so emphatic. He said, "For those that like want me back, I will enthusiastically return to the Wolverines in 2023. And for those that don't, they'll be saddened to learn I'll be with the Wolverines in 2023." You don't say things that specific.
Well, he didn't lie because it's 2023 and he's currently with the Wolverines.
Yeah, but that's just like a scumbag move. It's a scumbag move if he leaves after saying that. You don't say that. You just coach speak it and say, we're focused on Fiesta Bowl prep. I don't have time for NFL rumors. Sure, it's not a
Then
firm
you wouldn't have
shutdown.
liked that, though. You wouldn't have liked that.
I would get nervous that he's going to leave, but I would accept it. Like, okay, yeah, he didn't play with our emotions. You can't say I will be back in 2023 for the Wolverines, and then like that's a scumbag move. That's a scumbag move.
Right. Mel Tucker, I'm excited to continue with the Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah, like
Leaves the next day.
Chris Holtman with Butler tweeted out Team 133, like with all the guys that left for Ohio State the next day. Like, you just don't have to do certain things before you're about to leave a program. You just don't have to do them.
Money talks, man. NFL's got the most of it, so.
Fair.
And shout out TCU for their awesome video that they released.
I didn't like it. It was way too much for me. Could not.
They
keep up with that
Troll,
video.
like
them
social
and
media.
the-
That's what social media is for.
That would have
That's what
freaked me out
social
if I
media
was
is
like
for,
10
is
years
to
old
troll.
and watched that video. I would have had nightmares.
I watched
them and
it
the
before.
Bills, I think, do that after every game that they win. It's called like a shit post. They just compile a bunch of memes together and put them like, it's kind of
Bill,
funny.
I've seen a couple of the Bill ones. Those are hilarious.
Wild. The only thing I'll say about Harbaugh is I'm not going to get into the song and dance until it happens because I just exhausted from it. And I think
Can you
the
just
listeners-
name your number one coach
How
on
did
your
he want
wish
to do
list,
this?
assuming that he leaves?
Yeah, just one.
Just like
give
give
us
us one
name,
guy. One guy.
Yeah.
Give us Michigan State fans just one name.
Bill
Well, here's the
O'Brien.
No, here's the thing though. Is like
You can have him.
we're
Matt
gonna get into
Nagy.
the weeds. We're gonna get into the weeds, aren't we? Okay, here's the thing
Just
though.
give
is
us
like,
one name. You don't have
No,
to give us any.
No, I have to
any
caveat it
reasoning.
because it's a crazy name. It's a name you wouldn't expect, but I think if I was AD,
Robert
I would
Saleh.
make this guy say no
PJ.
because
Do not say Urban Meyer.
Oh my
Before-
God, you hired
No.
Pat Fitzgerald. Good for you.
before Harbaugh came here, Michigan did not have that kind of pull. They had to dip into their Michigan man bucket again, and thankfully
Do
Jim
not
Harbaugh
say
was
Nick
one.
Saban.
No.
Okay.
He's gonna
I'm
say
not-
something ridiculous.
I'm not
You
like
are.
that crazy. But now they are
Dan Campbell.
over the last 2 years, they've been the second best college football program in the country. So
Third.
they have a bigger pool to go to.
Third.
And I think, who?
Alabama's always better.
No. Alabama
Nah,
didn't make
national
the playoff.
championship. game
Alabama would have
appearance.
shit on you.
This year?
Yes.
Yeah,
If you played
that,
Alabama
that
Fiesta
confirmed
Bowl,
it for me.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, would have.
They
Anyways,
have a lot of flaws too.
just guys being dudes. Give us your coach.
You go to this man's door. He hasn't even unpacked his bags yet. And you make Luke Fickell say no. And you just leave Wisconsin and come to Michigan.
all right, I can see
I don't
that.
think that's crazy. Yeah, I mean he's an Ohio State guy though, so
It's
he can
kinda-
do it. But
Bo Schembechler was an Ohio State guy. That's the entire narrative.
Grant, that's a really bad person that you're talking about.
I'm not talking about people's character. I'm just talking about he was a coach on Ohio State staff before he came to Michigan. It's not unheard of thing to do.
Luke Fickell played at Ohio State.
Okay.
That's a little different, dude.
It's college football. Like, your loyalties can only take you so far.
Luke Fickell.
Okay, be interesting.
Luke Fickell. That's the guy I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. All in.
I'm not sure why you're so all in on Luke Fickell, but
Because he
we'll
took
see.
Cincinnati to the playoff.
okay. Cincinnati's a known pretty good program of coaches.
Yeah, they're a playoff caliber team for sure. What he did there was
Yeah.
historic.
Yeah,
And he
but
was a good recruiter, too.
Cincinnati has great coaches.
He went
they
and got
always
Sauce
move
Gardner
on
out of our
and do
backyard.
well.
No, Luke Fickell's the
was-
guy. He's that guy.
He's Mark D'Antonio.
He's better.
He's the exact same
I
path,
think.
Grant.
I think Michigan State's an easier place to make the playoff than Cincinnati.
No, Grant. Mark D'Antonio was the coach at Cincinnati and then went to Michigan State and then took
Yeah, I
Michigan
know.
State to the
But
playoff.
I'm saying I have Luke Fickell better because
And
D'Antonio.
D'Antonio was the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. They're the same guy.
I
the
know
same
their
guy.
Alex. I know football. I know their career paths. I'm saying I would have Luke Fickell a tier above because he took Cincinnati to the
Because he
playoff.
stayed at Cincinnati longer than Mark did.
Yeah, I guess if you want to play a semantics narrative of like what.
Michigan State was a dump hole when Mark took over, and he took us to the playoff.
Question for you guys: are you guys all in on making the national championship game next year because TCU was 5-7 the year before this year?
I would just like to be relevant. I'm not going to get crazy.
Oh, we do have an NFL wide receiver, so
We do have an NFL wide receiver that should have been playing for Tulane today based on the message boards.
This TCU run kind of is going to break people's brains going forward and set absurd
It
expectations.
ruins my whole star debate.
I don't
mean,
think we have NFL quarterback that I
No,
have
but like
seen.
the fact that this guy, first year in a program, is in the national championship game at TCU is insane.
So many guys, it's not like he's like a
Unbelievable.
first year coach though. He's experienced.
He's
But
been
it's
in-
unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Don't throw that word around.
It's unbelievable.
No, it is. It's unbelievable. They were 5-7. They bring him in, and they really didn't lose a game because the Kansas State game they crossed the pylon. They crossed the yard and they didn't give it to him. They really
I
had
mean,
it
if they
lost
win
this
the
year.
national championship, then I don't even know if I can watch college football anymore. My brain will be broken.
It's the Georgia
Everything we
Invitational.
know, maybe.
My brain will be broken if TCU.
TCU some dogs, though. And they have the best quarterback in the game. Stetson was pretty good when it mattered.
Stetson was pretty solid. The 32-year-old gunslinger looked
Dude,
pretty
but
good.
Duggan, when we would blitz Duggan and he'd
Duggan didn't
backpedal.
have the best game.
No, he actually didn't. But he made
His
it
two
every big
interceptions
play.
weren't his fault.
No, but I'm just saying his completion percentage wasn't all that great.
Okay, add in his rushing yards though, Alex.
No, I know. He was the winning quarterback. It helps that JJ made some buffoon mistakes.
Yeah. But also some great plays. And that's what I'll tell myself going into next year.
But also some great plays.
I heard JJ's entering the transfer portal and he's going to TCU because he wants
Why
to
are
be
you
on a
on-
winning program.
Why are you on your troll behavior right now? There's no time for trolls.
Sorry, Grant.
Dude, that's
I
the
supported
thing
you on Saturday.
that I have to realize, though, is like when you play in these games, everyone's going to get their memes off, their jokes off, but it comes out of a place of jealousy and just like wanting to be there. So heavy lies the crown or whatever that is when you're in that spot. If you mess up, you're going to take a lot of crap, but
I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy all the Michigan State fans doing as much trolling as they were doing because they just forgot how garbage we were this season.
But that's sports. Like that, I don't.
Alex,
hold
who won the
that
same amount of bowl games as Michigan and Ohio State combined.
Yeah,
I know. You
Gave
said
up less
that. Evan.
points.
You texted it.
that stat reminded me of my response to Wyatt's question before we move to the Lions real quick. Is Wyatt was like, how does it feel to not have lead in a bowl game? That's one of those stats that I think is like, or lead in a playoff game. I think that's a stat that's fun for like the trolls to use, but I mean Georgia, you weren't going to lead against them; they're a wagon. And then this game, like let's say Michigan had scored on that last drive and they only led for like a second in the game, and it was as time expired, like I wouldn't care. So that's one of those stats that like really isn't that big of a deal because at that point, it's not about how much you lead in the game; it's just winning the football game. You just need to win the football game by 1 point, no matter what it takes. So like it'll be a fun stat for opposing fans to say. But one of the years you played one of the best teams ever, and the other year, this past year, like you were still in it in the last drive. You just should have won the game, but you didn't. All right, Lions football. Some good news. The Lions destroyed the Bears. Anyone's opening thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I was super pissed after the first two drives.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just
I was like, here
trying
we
not
go.
to text
This is
back
it.
to Evan because
This is
Evan
it.
was on his just ignorant behavior before that game even kicked off.
But to be fair, Alex, after the Carolina
Jared
game,
Jacobs gets a 5-yard holding penalty, and Evan thought the sky
They
was...
scored on that drive.
Oh, my God. They won 41-10.
Yeah, but
And Jerry Jacobs switched from black
Your
arm sleeves and black
the
gloves
standards
to
that you
white
hold-
after that.
the standards that you hold Jeff Okuda to, I was holding Jerry Jacobs to the same standard.
Yeah, and Jerry Jacobs played the rest of the game very well, and Jeff Okuda got benched again.
He was sick.
Anyways, we're not going to do this Jerry Jacobs, Jeff Okuda thing every week.
He was sick, Alex.
No, Grant made that up.
No.
He did not have COVID.
no, Cody said that, and I went
There's
with
a
it.
sickness going around.
All right, yeah.
Tough day
I
for
heard
the same old Lions haters. out
I
there.
heard someone say use the term "goffense," like Jared Goff goffense, and this goffense has been pretty good, pretty elite recently, and I enjoy watching it.
Indoor
The play
stadium
calling-
golf. Indoor
Play
stadium
calling,
golf.
offensive line, they just make Jared's job very easy. I mean, he was throwing receivers with like nobody around.
Yeah,
Like he didn't have to make these like crazy
you
tight
can't
window
throw to
throws.
Jameson Williams though. Still,
The
that's
Bears
tough.
defense is also really, really bad, Alex.
No, I'm not disputing that, Evan.
But it was good to see
I
we
know
did what we
they're
were
bad.
supposed to do. You were supposed to do
Yes.
that. And we
Still
did.
tough to blow out a team by 31 points in the NFL, no matter who you're playing.
They had like 40 passing yards, so
Justin Fields
Well,
also kind of quit in the middle of the game.
he is a
it
running
seemed
back.
he
like.
shouldn't have
So
played. He shouldn't have played.
He did not care whatsoever after he got hurt. He
I
was like,
wouldn't have
yeah.
either.
He just would like, he was like throwing it away on third down, basically, not even trying. It's pretty funny. Soft behavior from Justin.
I would say some stock ups was the running backs. It was kind of a running back game where like
Swift
the receivers were okay.
reemerged.
Swift's
I
looking.
haven't seen that in a while.
He did look like he had that dog in him. He looked pretty good. No
Just
denying that.
Taking little passes, screen passes to the crib. I was like, wow, there's nowhere to go, and then he just found a way.
Yeah.
Need that at Lambeau.
Stock up, James Houston. Stock through the roof, James Houston.
Unreal player.
You almost said unbelievable.
Unreal. The guy's crazy good.
No, the only
I don't know
thing
about like his run stopping and all that other stuff, but rushing the passer,
who cares?
He's a demon.
The only bad thing,
8 sacks already.
It's kind of hurting my Hutchinson Defensive Rookie of the Year buzz because he's got more sacks than Hutchinson now.
James Houston Defensive Rookie of the Year in 7 games.
But Hutch gets another pick. He has 3 picks for a defensive end. I don't know when the last time that's happened. I don't think it's happened a lot. There was a lot of like only player in league history to have this combined stats, especially in their rookie year. So
interceptions, fumble recoveries, and sacks combined, only one player's ever done what Aiden Hutchinson has. Damani Dent from the Chicago Bears.
Oh.
He was he's pretty good apparently. All pro.
Well, Hutch should win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'll stand by that. He's got more.
I'm a
picks
James
than
Houston
sauce,
guy now.
but no picks. Picks are worth more than sacks. That's a fact.
He's Von Miller, but better.
If you calculate, I don't know what the ratio is from like picks to sacks, but if you translated that, if you cashed in all your picks coupons,
Hutchinson did have a pick, but it was like also the easiest interception of all time. Like,
I don't know.
Like
if
I
it's
said
that
about how
easy.
Justin Fields just quit this football game. I mean, that was another play he just didn't.
I don't know if it's easy to stick a defensive end almost on the sideline and have him play like cover 3
I was
flats
watching
coverage.
Kaminsky run around it like linebacker on that play, and he looked lost.
Yeah, like I still
With
there's
his
some
clubs on his hands, like he hasn't padded hands. He just run.
He was running around like with his head cut off. He had no idea where he was supposed to be. That was funny. I laughed when Hutchinson got that interception. I thought it was hilarious. And Anzalone calling for the pitch back on that play. Did you guys see that?
No, I did not.
Anzalone was screaming at Hutchinson to pitch it to him, and he got pissed after. I was like, what was Anzalone going to do with that
You
ball?
heard that.
Oh my god.
He would have got tackled from behind by David Montgomery. But it was hilarious.
Was there any other major takeaways from the game? It was a pretty boring game because like blowouts just tend to be boring.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams is pretty fast.
And he was smiling on his run. That was cool.
Oh,
Yeah, he was
During the
he was
game,
very
the
excited.
breaking news that NFLPA is investigating Carolina's field
Oh yeah, I did see that.
of how
I missed that.
poor it was and how hard and tough it is. And I was thinking maybe that was the reason why JMO didn't play so much against Carolina.
That would make sense. Because
And
he did play a lot more snaps in this game. It felt like, at least.
I mean, Goff was the one that proposed it, and they're investigating it because of what Goff said in the post game or last week or something.
All right.
Trading TJ Hawkinson was the best move of all time. Our tight ends are elite. We don't need him.
I think it's turning out to be a pretty win-win for both sides.
Yeah, no, TJ's doing a great job in Minnesota.
But
Brock
is he-
Wright, dog.
That has been
Zilcher,
great.
dog.
Is
Your
it
Zilcher,
guy.
dog.
I would say it's a win-win as long as we don't draft a tight end within our first 4 picks.
There's no way we're going to.
There's
But
no
it is
need.
like-
you
we have
don't
3
need to
of
in the offense.
We could put anybody at that tight end position, it feels like, and they'd be fine.
Yeah.
Well, because like down the field, Amon-Ra's basically our tight end. Because I keep like laughing in my head whenever I tweet it. Like we don't use our tight ends outside the red zone, specifically like inside the 10-yard line. But like they're
I
automatic
don't even know
every
if they
time we get
run
down there.
routes when
They
we're
do. They run the
between the 20s.
bootleg.
I'm not sure I've seen him catch a pass like between the 25.
No, I think James Mitchell caught one
Well, okay.
against the Bears.
But yeah, tight ends have definitely been eye-opening.
They're
also
going to break the
like
record for tight end touchdowns in the Lions
Yeah,
season.
they're setting some records too. Everyone's setting records because this offense is. I think it's the first time our offense has ever had 4,000 passing yards and 2,000 rushing yards in a year. Balance. We are good at football.
It was like
But
the
let's
4th
talk
time
about
in Lions
the,
history we collapsed 6,000 total offensive yards.
Wow.
It's that Jared Goffense, you know?
The Goffins
Ben Johnson.
indoors.
Should we talk about Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, because as fun as this year's been, and
And it all comes down
to this.
to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
How are you guys going to feel if, I mean, obviously Seattle's probably going to win.
Yeah.
Are you still going to be fully invested into that Sunday night game? I personally am going to be.
I'll be
I'll be
pissed.
upset that we aren't playing for the playoffs, but
I was
also it's
more
like
mad.
a
I was
huge step.
furious at the Jets' performance. I don't know
You
why
were.
I put so much of my life on the Jets, but I was
I
just
didn't watch it.
Your tweet got some love too. People felt your
Yes.
anger.
I saw that tweet. I was like, yeah, that's an Evan tweet. Got it.
it just.
People were mad at Mike White online.
But like, if the Lions go into the game where the Seattle won and it doesn't mean anything, I'll be ho-hum about it.
I mean, you're going to watch the whole thing, Evan.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be fully invested in it, but I won't be as like. I'll basically just be cheering against the Packers, basically.
I mean, I think it could be a huge building block game for next season.
I just want this team to like
Play the Packers at full strength when all they have is like
be competitive, and like the Packers may end up winning because, especially if they see Seattle lose Seattle win.
Shit.
If they see
Seattle
Seattle
win,
win,
Packers have to win even more.
if they see Seattle win, I mean, it's all set up for them to win. You know, get in the playoffs at home, Sunday Night Football. So like, it's a game they should win. I'm sure. What, they're already favored by like
4.5.
4.5. Yeah, I mean, they should win this game. It'll be embarrassing for them as a franchise if they lose this game. I just need the Lions. One, I really want them to win. I won't back down from that. I need them to go in and win this football game.
Even though your girlfriend is going to be big on the Packers trying to make the playoffs.
They've made the playoffs a lot in their life. This is just a culture building win. But at the very least, if they are going to lose, it needs to like be within one score competitively, because you just can't go into this moment and just crap. You gotta perform.
Historically, this is absolutely a game the Lions lose, and it won't particularly be close. Like, if we're looking at the past, like these huge games, we always we might lose on the scoreboard by a possession, but it's because we, like the last time, get a Hail Mary on the last play that doesn't matter. Like, they're never actually close. So it'd be nice to be in a close game in this situation.
Kind of crap they did the Sunday night thing when
we could have easily played Saturday night.
Or
we should have played Saturday night.
We should have played. We should have played the same exact time the Seahawks and Rams played.
I want to
I
play
think-
before them, so it would felt like a playoff game for our fan base, no matter what. And then we
Sure.
can watch the second game after. Like,
But if they're
Saturday
doing it,
night
like-
prime time would have been cool.
But either
If they
way,
were
it's like
doing it most fair, it should have been. But like we know, even if we see Seattle win, Dan Campbell's not going to sit any guys. There's nothing to sit people for. He's going to go full blow.
Dan said
'cause,
they're
like,
winning no matter what.
knocking Green Bay out of the playoffs would feel almost like a playoff win. That's my math. Because we're not going to beat the 49ers in San Francisco.
Is
We're
the
not-
There's
worst
still a
thing
chance we could play Minnesota.
of all
Is there,
time.
though?
I saw the
Like-
scenario, yeah.
Are the San Fran going to lose to Arizona Cardinals and David Blau? I don't think they are. So they'd be the two. seed.
plays the 7.
Yeah. And we can't be we can't be anything above a 7. We have to be the 7 if we get in.
No, I know we have to be the 7.
If you think
what's
the Cardinals
Minnesota's record?
I don't know, 1 below whatever 49ers
4
are.
losses. 49ers have 4 losses too.
But they're the 2 seed right now. If 49ers win their game, they're the 2 seed. They're playing the
What
Cardinals.
if the Eagles lose? Can the
They could
Eagles
go
drop?
down. They could go to
to
the 5
2?
seed. No, they could go down.
No, the Eagles are either the
Yeah.
1 or the 5.
They could be the 5 seed.
Because if you don't win your division,
Nah.
you're
So
automatically
the
out.
Bucks and the Eagles, huh? Poor Tom.
It's either the Bucks and Eagles or
Bucks are
the
back.
Bucks and
Cowboys and Bucks.
Bucks and Cowboys.
I mean, so Grant, you don't even want to make the playoffs, it sounds like.
No, I would like to make the playoffs. But this is a playoff game, so we already made the playoffs in a way. This is a playoff game.
So you'd rather have the Rams
Pick be higher?
Rams win, or would you rather have the Rams lose to get a top 4 pick?
I don't really care about the pick too much.
I don't give a
But,
shit about the pick.
Okay,
but
yeah.
this is a play. But I've been saying we already made the playoffs in a weird way. Because this is a playoff game. This is going to feel... This game
Regardless
will
of
be...
outcome in this final week, it was a good season, and we should be pretty happy about it.
But see how much
Kind of.
the Carolina loss
Kind of
should have
how-
hurt you guys.
I mean, if we
Yeah.
get absolutely...
You know how much the
Yeah,
Carolina
Evan.
loss?
The Carolina
No,
loss
Alex.
only feels as bad because they started 1-6. You can circle Carolina and you can say that's the whole reason this season is going to end without the playoffs, but you can't start 1-6. That's really the biggest problem.
True.
That's true.
Like, we're not just going to forget that they went 7-2 in their last 9.
No, but if you just beat Carolina when you were playing good football, when you weren't playing ass football.
Things happen, Evan. You had bad weeks. And they responded, and they came out and absolutely murdered a terrible team.
The second worst team in the NFL.
Well, this SOL Lions might have lost that game.
I'm just saying, like, if you beat Carolina the previous week and didn't lay the worst egg of all time in Lions history, then...
Oh, Evan, that's
it would be a win to get in, and it would actually be a pre-playoff game.
Still could. Baker Mayfield. Wyatt, you better hope. You better hope Baker shows the Rams the world how good
Is there any way? Is there any way?
Yes, it's the NFL. The Jaguars beat the Colts last year in the final game of the season and knocked them out of the playoffs, and they were terrible.
Do you think like Brad Holmes is calling anybody at the Rams like, hey guys?
Matthew Stafford, if he wants to be a true Lion, he can be activated off IR this week, come in and lead the Rams to victory.
Not behind that offensive line. Team.
You're going to need the rest of the IR on the O-line to come back as well. Yeah, it's possible. They can do it. I mean, they murdered the Broncos and
who did they just play though? Austin Eckler just ran all over him, dude. Kenneth Walker
just
ran all over him.
Playing for something. Seahawks might choke.
Chargers are already in the playoffs.
I know they're playing for seeding though. I mean, the Seahawks won the first time by 4 points.
Rams house.
It's at Seattle.
It's at Seattle, which is not good.
That's just their hashtag though.
It's Rams house.
Rams house. I don't know who made it.
Worst hashtag of all time.
Hashtag Rams house. So get that going. Get that trending. Hashtag Rams house.
I think the Rams are capable. I don't think they will win.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is better than Patrick Mahomes.
They kept it close with Green Bay. Sort of. They just can't score. Their defense is all right.
Donovan Mitchell scored 71
Jalen Ramsey
points.
legacy game. What?
Donovan Mitchell scored 71 points.
I mean, that's historic.
I was looking up the spread, and it just popped up. I'm sorry. I wanted to see the spread of the Rams game.
Rams house.
To see how much faith.
6.5. That Seattle is a good coach.
6.5. So they're really
on everything, Evan. They didn't say the Lions-Bears spread was -31.
So they're really 3-point favorites.
The Jaguars were favored by 1 point over us when we played.
Yep.
We killed them.
You just have to believe, Evan. We got to chop.
And with that, predictions for this game. How strong is your belief? Are you willing to stake your reputation on the Lions going into Lambeau Field late in January?
I'm giving you two scenarios. One, Seattle loses and the Lions are playing for a playoff spot.
That feels like the game we definitely lose.
Oh, God. Aaron Rodgers would hang a freaking bag over our head, and we would score like 16 points, and it would be 31-16, fat L. Now, Seattle wins. We're not playing for anything. We definitely beat them. It's that way. It's that type of way, that type of season, how like, oh, what could have been? Oh, what could have been? One little play here, one little play there. It's just, if Seattle wins, I would say we win 29-26.
Wow.
That would be hilarious.
You just read my mind.
But if Seattle loses, then Aaron Rodgers is putting his discount double check bell all over our faces.
Gross. What a nasty image.
No matter the Seahawks result, the Lions walk on Lambeau Field, where Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur are, I think, 17-1 in the months of December and January. They've lost one time in December and January.
To San Francisco last year?
Home or road? That must be it.
I mean, that was in the snow, and they lost to Jimmy G.
When these two teams get together, throw out the record books. Lions, 30-27. We score 30 on these guys because that's what the offense does outdoors.
Since we were 1-6, I haven't predicted a Lions loss. I don't think, other than the Bills.
Talk about a fanboy.
And they've only gotten it wrong one time for me.
I'm sure you picked us to lose to the Packers at home.
No. Never.
All right.
With that being said, I feel like this is the time where I have to predict a loss.
No, dude.
How can Seattle lose? How can Seattle lose?
I think that I kind of agree with Evan. I think if Seattle loses, we're like the youngest team in the NFL. The moment might be a little too big in 2022 for this team. I guess 2022 season. So in that scenario, I think that they would lose just because the moment would be just massive.
What if Dan doesn't let them see the final score because they're warming up and getting ready? They don't know the result. He just says, "Go play your hearts out."
They're gonna put that shit on the scoreboard at Lambeau.
It's gonna be high of 29, low of 17, no precipitation.
That's not bad.
People. No,
that's bad.
It's warm for Green Bay in January.
But say I don't know. I think the moment would be too big in that scenario, and they would lose. If the Seattle wins, though, I can see the win easily. 28-24 Lions.
So do we get blown out if the?
No, I think they keep it really close for a while, and then mistakes start to happen at the worst possible time because it's just a young, inexperienced team.
You think Jared throws his first pick in like 8 games?
No. In Goff we trust.
Goffins.
The Swift fumble feels right.
So we have 3 predictions for a win and 2 predictions for a loss.
Mm-hmm.
That's something.
No, we have 3 predictions for a win.
And 2 for a loss.
Yes.
Depending.
We have 5 predictions, yes. Would you like to just add your 6th?
No. Mine's win no matter what.
So then at 4 wins.
We're like
4 wins, 2 losses.
Whatever Green Bay thinks they are, we're a tougher football team. We're built for Lambeau weather. Even though
worried about Jair Alexander.
They're not going to do that to us unless they double Amon-Ra, but what? Well, J-Mo will score.
They double Amon-Ra and then J-Mo goes over the top.
I need a J-Mo Lambeau leap. What if J-Mo Lambeau leaped right into the cheeseheads?
He probably would. The guy is crazy.
That'd be sick.
I really need Baker to do it. I need it. I need it bad. I want it.
Like you guys are more. So you guys are really. I mean, I guess I should be too, but I'm more just. I want to see us win. I guess
I want to win bad, no matter what. And I've pretty much accepted in my head that the Rams are not going to win.
It's like getting blue balled. You get all the way there. You're about to ready to kick off.
It hurts.
Seattle kicks a game-winning field goal. So no matter what you do, you can't make it.
But making sure the Packers don't make it would be.
It would be nice, but like I would get over it.
It's not the same though.
I would get over it pretty quick. I want to be devastated Sunday night going into Monday morning that the Packers just ruined my season.
No, you don't. You're
yes, Grant. We just talked about that. I absolutely want that.
I want that feeling.
Playoffs.
This is talking from
I want that feeling.
Evan last year saying the NFL was boring, and now I'm fully invested in watching. I was watching the Jets and Seahawks on some.
I watched like every game. I watched them all
on YouTube.
Our playoff games have been the last few weeks.
Yeah, and it's been a fun season no matter what.
Playoff game. I want to go to San Francisco and lose by 35 and be like, well, that wasn't fun.
I want a week of build up for a playoff game. It'd be great.
I think you guys should.
We've been starving for a playoff game in this city for years.
Any sport.
I think
for years.
It's a little mental gymnastics, but I think you should frame this game. Let's say Seattle wins or whatever Seattle does. Doesn't matter. This game is more intensity to it than Lions 49ers would have because the 49ers would dog walk us.
Yes.
We can win this game. It's Sunday night
intense.
In Lambeau in front of the Cheesehead Nation trying to punch their ticket to the playoffs, and we can walk in.
It's in front of the
regardless
entire
if we can make it or not. In the nation, we complained all. We didn't complain because we thought we'd be pretty bad, but no.
I like
Sunday
being on
night
a 1
games,
o'clock slate.
No primetime games. This is it. People will remember this game way more than they'll remember Lions 49ers when the Niners win 35-13.
And Evan, you also owe our listeners an apology for saying the Lions Packers would not be Sunday night. You owe everyone an apology.
I did. Well,
he got his schedules mixed up.
Yeah, I thought the Steelers game already got flexed into it.
You just need to say sorry. I've received some messages.
I backtracked. I apologize.
They were very upset about it.
It was week 18.
They were very upset about your takes last week.
Alex is getting messages.
To
Well, also last week I also said Aaron Rodgers is going to ruin our season, so that's still possible.
Still possible.
Still possible, but we're gonna keep chopping, and we're gonna get there, and we're gonna get through it, and we're gonna go to San Francisco and shock the world if we get that.
I just want the game to be
No, we're not gonna do that.
I just wanted our game.
Yes,
to
we are.
Mean anything? I wanted just a win, get in. That's why I was so mad at the Carolina game.
If anyone could block Nick Bosa, though, it'd be Penei Sewell.
Oh yeah. Also,
they
Frank
wouldn't line him
Ragnow
up.
has gotten so many penalties the last 2 games. I think 2 total, but that
He's
just
like
is a
half
lot for a
injured.
Pro Bowler.
He's half injured.
Anytime he gets a holding call, I just don't believe it.
Yeah, correct.
It's like there's no way that guy's holding.
Well, they never showed a replay either, so.
To close out, Killian knocked out Mo Wagner into a bench.
Did he knock him out? Or was he already knocked out before he got punched? That was weird.
See, that's what I was wondering the whole time because he went dead limp in Isaiah Stewart's arms, but then he went like real limp into that bench. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought he did the classic like started some crap and then played dead to hope no
I
one
thought he was
hit him.
faking it.
And then he did get hit in the head, and so he just leaned into it. But if he did get knocked out, that's kind of crazy because he was up in a second.
It's awesome.
I don't know. I guess
everyone likes seeing a good fight.
look,
As long as everyone's okay afterwards.
3 games, everyone's okay. I like seeing that who I thought was the softest member of our basketball team has a little bad boy in him. Actually, a lot.
Yeah,
It wasn't-
I mean Grant.
Yeah.
Stop hating on Killian so much. The guy's got that dog in him.
You got more
And he's
than
having a
that
pretty
dog,
good year.
Alex.
He's okay.
Oh, Grant. The one game you've watched all season, and Killian does that, and you still have no respect for him.
And some people would say cheap shot from behind, but also
You would say that.
if you start some stuff, you should never turn your back to the guy you start stuff with. So it's also on Mo as well.
Dumb move.
You know,
Dumb move.
never turn your back to a guy that you just perturbed.
Yeah, bad idea.
But he probably thought Killian did not have that dog in him based on what he had seen so far in his NBA career.
Confirmed Killian's got that dog.
And then college hoops is Big Ten play set to tip off. Michigan lost to Central Michigan as well. I can't let that go under the radar.
Bounce back,
Then
well, though.
absolutely dismantled the Terps.
They really did. That was an insane comeback. People talk about conspiracies that like Michigan basketball the last 2 years has had been really bad, specifically during the stretch when Michigan football was in their postseason play, and then they can kind of figure it out. And you'd like to be like, oh, that's just stupid, like hypotheticals. But 2 years in a row, it kind of seems true. They just play their worst basketball when Michigan football's in the postseason, and now they play better. So we'll see what happens. But it's hard to get a read on this team. It was a good bounce back performance, though. We'll see if they can continue it against Penn State.
Just got to ride that roller coaster, I believe, all year.
You guys got to be feeling pretty good about, like, what are the odds in your head as MSU fans that MSU wins the Big Ten this year? Let's get to the hot.
Whoa. I mean,
hot
you
and
lost
sweaty.
today.
Let's get to the hot and sweaty before conference play really starts.
It helps that
33%
Malik's
chance.
back.
33.
Purdue just
I'll go
lost
20.
to Rutgers.
25, because it's just 20 games. 20 Big Ten games, so many. There's going to be so many teams that lose a bunch of games.
Yeah, but
this
you
year.
can lose 5 games. We already have a loss.
Yeah, I gave us a
Northwestern
25%
at
chance. I think that's pretty decent chance.
We
I mean,
lost
Michigan's
to
got a
Northwestern
1%
at
chance.
home.
2
Don't
years
look
in a
now,
row.
but Michigan's third in the Big Ten standings.
Yeah, I don't see it, right? I'm sorry.
No, me either.
Don't we play tomorrow?
Yeah, we play Nebraska. Sneaky good, I guess.
Sneaky. I think they're only
Yeah,
good
maybe
They
winning
just
the
murdered
conference
Iowa
was
by
a little,
20.
at home.
And Iowa
maybe
doesn't
winning the
have,
conference was a
Murray.
little aggressive. Should I walk it back to if you guys don't finish top 4, it's a failure?
I don't
say so.
think it's a failure
And-
if you finish like 5th.
You finish 5th and don't make it to the second weekend.
Ugh.
Then
Yes.
it'll be depressing, yeah. We got to make the second weekend this year. We have to.
So it's
can't-
probably more about that than whatever happens in the Big Ten, honestly.
Well,
all about your
basically,
draw,
we
though.
we need to be a higher seed than a 7. We've been a 7 through
No,
10 the last
be a
3
10
years.
or an 11. 10 or 11 is money.
We need to be a
11's
6
money.
and lower. I like our chances of a
Can I
6
be an
and
11 but not do the playing game again, Grant? Please?
Be a 12. Be a 12.
Yeah, 11's the same as a 6, really.
What,
Every year,
plays-
12 beat to 5.
12 plays a 5 and then
And
play
then,
a 4 seed again? Yeah, I'm down for a 12 seed.
I just don't want to
Yeah,
play a
honestly.
1 or a 2 seed
But
in
I'm
the
also
second
down
round
to
again.
just to be the 5 seed.
Yeah. No, that scares you then. Because you don't want to be the one everyone picks the 12.
No,
over.
there's always one.
do
bad
wanna-
12 seed.
mention AJ, the solution ever since I really shat on him on this podcast. He's been playing pretty well. So he's
Still
back.
can't shoot.
And Dane Fife on the broadcast said AJ Hoggard best point guard in the Big Ten. So he's not biased whatsoever.
There's not many to choose from, though, so that's the thing.
That's what I mean. AJ could be first team All Big Ten when it's all said.
Xavier Johnson did get hurt. That does bolster your case.
There's just not great point guard play in the Big Ten right now. And AJ is dishing it out and doing all right.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
It's
And
the
Jared
good
Hauser is
performance.
the best three-point shooter in the Big Ten, and Jaden Akins is
You
second.
guys are denying this milkman for years. Told you if he played in the WCC, he would have better stats than Chet Holmgren. It's just fact.
Joey is shooting the ball well right now. I'm not going to deny it. He's still a very
Dude,
bad
if he
negative on
played in the
defense.
WCC, they would think he was Drew Timme.
They probably would.
He'd be pretty good in the WCC. I'm not going to lie.
He would ball
I mean, he's
out.
probably going to end up like third team All Big Ten at this rate.
All right.
All in for him.
I think that's the show, guys. We made it through a sick show, a sad show. We made it to the end.
A
Sad
lot
day.
happened.
Bad day. It was a
If you don't-
catastrophe.
If you don't,
catastrophe.
if you don't subscribe or share the show with a friend after the performance I just gave, when a lesser man would have just called off this show.
I'm going to call it second best performance of sick/hungover performances. I'm going to give myself the number one spot for puking several times throughout a podcast.
Look, it was nice of you to show up, but you didn't contribute much at all to that podcast.
Yeah, I
Those times where
couldn't. I couldn't.
Evan and I
simply
broke down
couldn't.
to Iowa for like 30 minutes while you were in the bathroom.
I listened, though. I kept my headphones in while I yacked in the toilet.
It's disgusting. All right. Cheers to episode 104, and cheers to this NyQuil I'm about to take it right as this wraps up.
Cheers.
It's going to hit so well.
Cheers.
The
Hope
gritty
you
is
sleep
in
well,
the
man.
NHL.
Oh, what a gritty by that Red Wings player. What a comeback against Pittsburgh. Matt
Who
sends that
knows?
Snapchat. Wow, what a
The
bad take.